Welcome to Philly Tech Connect podcast, where Philly's tech minds meet. CEOs, developers, dreamers. This is your space. Each week, we explore the journeys of tech innovators. Join us and be inspired.
Hey everyone, Dave here with another episode of the Philly Tech Connect podcast. Today I'm speaking with Emily Watts, CEO and co-founder of Coblr. Emily has worked in strategy, product, operations, leadership roles across Fortune 500 startup companies in various industries. She most recently was the COO at Sling, an employee scheduling SaaS for SMBs that she helped sell to Toast. Emily understands how technology can be a game changer for small businesses and is excited to bring a reimagined solution to repair shops nationwide so that repair shops can run more efficiently and brand retailers and consumers have more delightful repair experiences. Emily, how are you doing?
I'm great. Go Eagles.
Yes, it's been a great week. We were recording this about 2 days or so after winning the Super Bowl, so my voice is already feeling it. But glad to have you on. I'm interested to talk about Cobbler because I really don't know all that much about fashion repair in that industry, and I hope I'm not alone here. But like I couldn't even tell you where there was a repair shop near me. I mean, I know where I can go to buy clothes and shoes and things like that. So, but presumably they exist because you're running this startup. So, can you tell me a little bit about your journey and then starting Cobbler, and then let's learn more about this industry.
Yeah. So as you mentioned from the bio, I have done lots of time in corporate America. And then during the pandemic, I think like many people sort of had this change of thinking and was like, I need to try something else, want to try a startup. So I found myself at Sling as their COO, and just became addicted to just a lot of it is just like the clip at which you learn in a startup, right? It's just like you're constantly being challenged. You usually have like way more responsibility than you would necessarily at a big company. And I loved it. I also come from a family of entrepreneurs. My parents are filmmakers, documentary filmmakers. And so I grew up in entrepreneurship and I've always had that itch. And so after we sold Sling to Toast, I decided like, okay, I want to start my own thing. Didn't know what it was. Met my co-founder Leslie, and she was just like, hey, I have this crazy idea, and I'm looking for someone to like, help me take idea to market. And we basically just bonded over this shared love of repair. So think like, and the focus for us originally is shoe repair, handbag repair. But a frustration over one, the accessibility. So you mentioned you're like, I don't even know where one is. They're hard to access. And then when you do, it's just not typically at the service standards that you expect as a modern consumer. And then so we have that sort of like lived pain point, and we wanted to solve that. And then when we sort of did a double click into the industry and the opportunity, it made us even more excited too. And so I can talk about the other part of your question, which is the industry. As we look at fashion and trends, circularity is a huge driver, and it's just shifting like the entire retail market, how people shop. And there's this like really great quote from an executive at the National Retail Federation that he said, circularity will have a bigger impact on retail than the advent of the internet, which is huge. It's a very big, bold statement, but it's true. So, when you look at fashion, you see these huge shifts in like resale. So it's growing 17 times faster than traditional linear retail. Consumers are engaging with it at a significant clip. And with that, with resale, it requires repair, right? So you can't just like continue to resell something and just like not do anything to it.
Okay, so I'd love to just pause here for a second.
Yeah.
And define circularity. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming it's like when a product kind of like makes its way like around the ecosystem or something like that is where I think this might be going, but you're gonna probably describe it better. So circularity, what is this here?
Yeah, so thank you for stopping me. It's about reducing waste. So in this case, fashion waste by reusing, repairing, and recycling goods. So in the traditional linear model, you're basically manufacturing and producing items, selling it to a customer, and then when they're done with it, it just goes into a waste dump. And in the US alone, 300 million pairs of shoes are thrown away every year. And there's a huge environmental impact to this waste. And actually, fashion is one of the top 10 polluters in the world. So it's a massive environmental and waste issue.
I have heard that, and it makes perfect sense. I look at my own behavior as a consumer, and like you try to be like conscious of what's going on, but you buy something, and then when it isn't really in good place, maybe I'll donate it. If it's like acceptable, but if it's
Yep.
not, then most likely like you'll just kind of like throw it out.
Mhm.
And so this rise in the resale sort of aspect of fashion is in people being more, I guess, open to maybe buying goods that have been used before. Is it because we're becoming more eco-conscious? Is it because the economy is difficult and we just like can't afford to buy new stuff anymore? Like, what's your take on that?
I think it's a combination. Secondhand goods are typically cheaper. So there's a price component. There's also a sustainability component. So consumers are becoming more and more aware of the environmental impact of their purchasing behaviors. But at the end of the day, people care most about price. So that's like one of the big drivers, but also technology, right? So before resale, but like shopping secondhand was a very manual process. But now, and there was basically just like eBay and like kind of Craigslist. But now there's all these platforms that are making it even easier to shop secondhand and also give you access to luxury brands at a more affordable price as well. So there's like a few different things that we're seeing that's driving this.
So how does the cycle look? Because if I'm buying secondhand, then basically you're kind of telling me that someone else owned this and then sort of sold it. And when I think about repair, I think about like I give it to someone, they repair it, they give it back to me, and I like pay them for the fee. But in this scenario, it's like I'm giving it to somebody who feels they can repair it and sell it back to someone for more and put it back into the cycle to be bought by someone else secondhand. Like what's kind of like the use cases here?
I mean, there's many use cases. So our main focus now is sort of like that post-purchase aftercare repair and care use case. So you buy something and then you repair it. So you buy something new and to hold on to it for longer and keep it in rotation for longer, you repair it. Or you're buying something secondhand and it's already has some wear and tear, you repair it. There is a use case of, let's say you're a seller and you're selling, secondhand shoes or clothing online. There's also a use case there for you to repair so you can resell at a higher price.
Gotcha. So you decided, if I understand correctly, to kind of focus on shoes, which is why
Yeah.
it's called cobbler, which is
Yeah.
again a word I don't know if I've ever used that in active speech, but again, but this is why it's fascinating that it's like there's these industries here, and you're like, oh yeah, this still like is active and running, and I guess so. It makes sense. At least it seems like it would make sense. Shoes are something that get a lot of wear and tear, and they're expensive, and maybe the process of repairing them is more straightforward. I'm not sure. What was kind of the reason to sort of focus on shoes here?
So it was our initial pain point. Also shoes and leather goods. We also do handbags, sneakers. They typically have like a higher value than apparel. And it's more complex than like, just doing a hem or so we wanted to start sort of with like the highest value, but also the most complex. And then, our hope was like basically everything else is going to be, a little more simple to figure out. And so yeah, so we looked at the industry. Saw this huge opportunity where, it's like resale is going to be almost a $500 billion market by 2030. And you have all these tech companies doing re-commerce and resale. But when you look at repair, it's really crickets. And so there's a huge, big white space there. But being from tech, Leslie and I were just like, well, we don't, we don't know fashion except from our own experience. We don't know repair except from our own experience. Let's get some experience. And so we launched cobblershop.com initially. And that was a mail-in repair business. And we work with an artisan in Boston to do all those repairs. And that really allowed us to have that lived experience on how to run a repair business, the sort of like difficulties, the good things, just like the whole repair process, but then also understand the perspective of consumers. And then we also are, have partnered with brands to just like deeply understand that whole ecosystem before we started to build a solution. And it basically allowed us to, all of that experience from cobblershop.com resulted in what we built with Cobbler. So it was basically like we ran a business as our research phase.
That's super cool, because you hear so much about idea validation as being this process of going out to your target market and kind of doing this Q&A interview thing. And it's okay, I mean, everyone, whatever, everyone's gonna have a different experience. I've done it
Yeah.
a number of times, but a lot of times I find that it's hard to get a hold of people. They're busy running their business and doing other things. They don't really want to answer like questions, and they don't always sort of answer things maybe in the way that they're not always going to use the same describe things in the way. They might leave out details that they don't think are important but to you are
Yeah.
actually super important. And so to actually just start a business in your industry, to then learn, to then eventually launch a software, is very novel. So what did you guys kind of find out when you launched Cobbler Shop?
Yeah. And I will quickly say we did talk to, dozens and dozens of repair shops as well. So we got, feedback from that. And then we also are always surveying our consumer base. So we learned a few things. One, when it comes to consumers, they typically don't know what they need repaired. And the quoting process for a repair is just like not efficient, not scalable. And so that led to us building, we're actually in the process of building it, an AI-enabled, AI-powered automatic quoting and diagnostic feature. And so basically you just like answer a couple questions, upload a couple images, and we leverage AI to basically automatically say, okay, this is what the repair is, and this is how much it's going to cost. Do you want to proceed? Click yes. Really just trying to streamline that experience because right now it's just like lots of back and forth, manually assessing the repair either in the store or online, and it's not scalable. So we learned that. The other thing is that when you look at repair businesses, there is no technology purpose built for them. So it's a lot of, you know, paper tickets, pen and paper, and then leveraging technology that's built for totally different industries. So I have one repair shop that he is moving from Lightspeed, which is, a huge point of sale, but it's really built for traditional retail. Another guy is using basically taking like a restaurant point of sale and like trying to customize it to his business. But it's like a lot of Square, Shopify, but none of it addresses all of the needs of a business. So a lot of these repair shops have these like pun intended cobbled together solutions, which are just super inefficient. And one of my favorite like stories from one of our repair shops is, he's very well known, gets a lot of business, very successful. He closes his shop every day at 6 and spends 4 to 5 hours just processing mail-in orders. And so what we wanted to do is because when we started, the whole goal was like, how do we make repair a great experience and accessible with the hope that if you target those two things and you make it this accessible and this fabulous experience, repair can be mainstream again. right? And the first choice over buying new. And so our whole goal with this solution for repair shops which is where we started, is to bring everything that they need to run a business into one place. So it's like a one-stop shop. So that's sort of those are the two things we built or learned from
Cobbler
running.
shop.
Yeah.
I just love the insights and kind of seeing how things are being run and seeing those opportunities. I think like once you have your eyes open as you walk around, you see stuff all the time. I mean, I went to go get pizza the other day for the game, and it was a small like pizza shop. It's called Pizzata, and they just had all like their ticket receipts on the wall with numbers, and there was a million people kind of waiting. Pizzas were delayed 45 minutes because they had obviously accepted way more orders than they could handle. Pizzas were being lost, and you just kind of had a sense of, if they had maybe like a dedicated technology in their space, they would have known that they had to stagger the orders, at a different amount. They wouldn't have lost track of the one. They wouldn't be just moving receipts all along a wall. So there are just a ton of opportunities in the SMB space for more like efficient operations. Yeah. So it sounds like you guys are building the SaaS, or maybe it's Bill. Where are you sort of? What's next, I guess, on your guys' roadmap?
Yeah, so we launched our MVP in August. And so that's been really great for us. We've onboarded about 8 repair shops, and we have about 5 brands as well. The next sort of step in this is building out the rest of the platform. So building out the products for brands so that they can make repair really accessible to their customers. Because the whole goal is to bring repair to the consumer wherever they are in the customer journey. And so this is, embedding it into the buy flow so that when you're checking out, you can add a repair to cart, or there's an embedded branded like ordering on the brand website. So it's just seamless and easy. So that's the next big thing. And then also just like having the AI diagnostic tool as well.
Sounds really sweet. Emily, for people that want to get in touch with you and Coblr, where should they go?
So you can reach me at info@Coblr, get Coblr. Let's start over for that.
Yep, no worries. Just take your time on this one.
Yeah, so you can go to Coblr, COBLROS.com. And then you can also just reach out to me at info@getcoblr.com.
Nice.
And then we also have an Instagram too. That's Coblr Shop.
Cool. Thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you.
That's all for today's episode of Philly Tech Connect. Join our community at phillytechentrepreneurs.com. Special thanks to our sponsor, shortlist.io, a digital marketing agency specializing in top-notch link building, content strategy, and web design. Stay innovative, Philly, and see you next time on Philly Tech Connect.